Which is worse, being part of the 10 messiest band breakups, or learning your group is ending via fax? Stay tuned to find out how some of your favorite 80s bands came to an end. The Clash was a true punk band. Their unpolished look was in direct opposition to the glitz of MTV. They never held back with their political lyrics, and they had the punk rock sound to back it up. From White Riot to London Calling, they achieved mainstream success with a style that was firmly anti-establishment. In 1985, the band released what would be its final album, Cut the Crap. Two key members of the band were already gone: the drummer, Topper Headon, and one of the frontmen, Mick Jones. Alongside Joe Strummer, Jones had written and sung many of the Clash's hits. Reasons for Jones' departure vary, but both personality and creative conflicts seem to have driven Jones and Strummer apart. Parts of Cut the Crap are painfully disjointed and overproduced, despite Strummer's stated desire to strip their sound back to basics. After Cut the Crap, the band fully broke up and never reunited. In 2013, Rolling Stone ranked the breakup of the rock band Guns N' Roses as one of the 10 messiest band breakups. Like The Clash, their demise was brought on by the exit of key band members. Only a few years after their massive success with 1987's Appetite for Destruction, conflicts started between the band members. They got rid of drummer Steven Adler due to his drug problems, and the feud between frontman Axl Rose and lead guitarist Slash worsened. It's difficult to piece together what the exact cause of the split was, as Slash and Duff McKagan describe one version of events which paints Rose as difficult and controlling, and Rose has stated it would be hard to tell his story without, quote, being negative to everybody else and calling them a liar. Regardless of the exact details of their disagreement, this personality clash forced the band apart in 1993. In 2016, Axl Rose, Slash, and Duff McKagan reunited for a tour after 2 decades apart. They remain in the current lineup, and in August 2021, the band announced a new song titled Absurd. Time magazine describes the Pixies as having, quote, a demented, dreamy, surf punk sound combined with irreverent and sometimes morbid lyrics that were a major influence on 1990s alt-rock. Kurt Cobain said that their album Surfer Rosa changed his life. However, like many bands, the Pixies got more stressed and fought more the bigger they got. In 1993, less than 10 years after the band was formed, lead singer Black Francis announced their breakup on the radio before telling his bandmates. Reportedly, he called guitarist Joey Santiago after getting off the air, but only informed bassist and songwriter Kim Deal and their drummer David Lovering via fax. Black Francis later said, "We could have survived if we could have just stopped the train and taken a vacation." The Waitresses were a band invented exclusively for the single I Know What Boys Like. When it came time to follow it up, they struggled. As explained by One Hit Wonderland, songwriter and guitarist Chris Butler came up with the snarky song while working with another band, and got his friend Patty Donahue to sing lead vocals. The song charted, but the rest of the album went mostly unnoticed. After touring, Butler and Donahue's relationship became strained, and that was it for the Waitresses. Despite the difficulty the band had building a career off of I Know What Boys Like, the band has another song that has ultimately become more popular since their breakup and is probably even better known than their hit single. According to Butler, the label asked them to record a Christmas song, and they threw together the song Christmas Rapping as a favor to the label. The upbeat song about an adult's complex relationship with Christmas continues to play on the radio every holiday season. In 1988, INXS reached #1 with their single Need You Tonight, a far more electronic, synthy track than the new wave alt band had ever released before. The following album, Kick, sold more than 10 million copies. Tragically though, in 1997, their 37-year-old frontman Michael Hutchence died unexpectedly. The band waited 15 years to officially break up, but things were never the same without Hutchence. Founding member John Ferris said, "We lived for each other in the trenches and we loved each other. It was the 6 of us against the world, and then suddenly and inexplicably we were but 5. We were lost right at the moment we were on top."
Like one minute we're rehearsing playing music with Michael, and a few days later we were in the same room, the gear's gone and we're rehearsing carrying his coffin.
Synth-pop band Frankie Goes to Hollywood topped the charts with their first 2 singles, Two Tribes and Relax. They were as controversial as they were popular. According to The Guardian, the BBC banned the playing of Relax on the radio and the showing of the queer-coded music video on TV. If anything, the controversy helped the band even more. Behind the scenes, though, there were tensions between the members. According to Past Daily, an actual fight broke out backstage between frontman Holly Johnson and bass player Mark O'Toole. When their second album was less successful, Johnson decided to leave the band. According to Holly Johnson, though, leaving the hit band was harder than it seemed. Rather than let Johnson move on, their label took him to court to try to prevent him from working with anyone else. The legal battle took 2 years, but ultimately, the judge sided with Johnson. In the 1970s, the band Styx had many soft rock, prog rock hits like Come Sail Away, but they had also found success with concept albums like The Grand Illusion and Paradise Theater. By the 80s, though, the public had had enough of concept albums, and even Kiss's popularity took a huge hit after releasing a concept album. The members of Styx agreed that it was time to leave concept albums behind, except for singer, keyboardist, and lead songwriter Dennis DeYoung. DeYoung pushed an idea for a concept album called Kilroy Was Here. While the album, and especially its lead single Mr. Roboto, did well, the rest of the band didn't like writing songs about robots or having to perform an elaborate performance on stage telling the complex dystopian sci-fi story that DeYoung forced them into. So, despite the album's success, or rather because of it, the band broke up. Berlin was known for singles like The Metro and No More Words and was tremendously influential in the 80s. Lead singer Terry Nunn stated, "When we started, there wasn't anyone else in America making electronic music. It was all punk and power pop." And then things went sideways. In 1986, producer Giorgio Moroder convinced Nunn and the band to record Take My Breath Away for the Top Gun soundtrack. The song was an enormous success and made Berlin internationally known. Behind the scenes, there was already tension within the band, but the overnight success pushed them apart. The rest of Berlin resented that their biggest hit was a song they hadn't written. Nunn said, "We fought about that, then we fought about the fact we had to play it in concerts. We were just fighting to fight." Within a year, the band had broken up. The Police released 5 albums in their first 6 years, all of which featured songs that would become classics. However, the conflicts between band members were fairly public from the beginning. Behind the scenes, the relationships between frontman Sting, guitarist Andy Summers, and drummer Stuart Copeland were more and more strained. As Sting took creative control in the Police, the rest of the band got increasingly frustrated, and in 1984, the band officially split. They eventually reunited for their induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame and had a reunion tour after the 2007 Grammy Awards.
The Police have broken up. Can you confirm that?
It's outrageous. I wonder if it's true.
The Smiths blended Morrissey's morose, poetic lyrics with Johnny Marr's innovative and delicate music. The two intense creative forces within the band created a sound that was incredibly influential. But Morrissey and Marr began to clash. After Morrissey insisted they fire their manager, Marr was forced to fill the role of manager as well as lead guitarist. Meanwhile, Morrissey began taking more creative control of the group. Marr told The Guardian, "It's what split the band up. To this day, I haven't met anyone who thinks a major rock group should be managed by the 23-year-old guitar player." The Smiths attempted to replace Marr after he quit the band, even going so far as to bring another guitarist into the studio, but they were never able to release any new songs. Wham was a two-man band, George Michael and Andrew Ridgeley. For 5 years, the pop duo had chart-topping hits like Careless Whisper and Wake Me Up Before You Go-Go. They sold around 28 million records. When the band broke up, the press, fans, and even the label believed it was because the two childhood friends had fallen out. According to Michael, though, that was never the case. Michael has assured fans that there was no bad blood between him and Ridgeley at all, calling it, quote, the most amicable split in pop history. In truth, Michael had decided it was time to move on from the teen pop songs that made Wham a success. He wanted to make more mature music for adults, and for him, that meant a solo career, one that went very, very well indeed.
Wham being a representation of our youth was never going to last into adulthood proper.
Formed in 1980, British new wave group Haircut 100 was almost an instant success, becoming massive pop stars in Europe and the UK in their first year. But just 4 years later, the band had broken up. In an interview with The Right Stuff, Former frontman Nick Hayward claimed that one source of conflict was that he was making more money than the other members of the band because he was the songwriter. That was where the tension started with the band. That's why we fell apart. I wasn't the popular guy. I left because I was ganged up on. On VH1, former bandmates stated that Hayward felt threatened, and that it was the singer's, quote, mental anguish that ultimately drove them apart. Ultimately, all the bandmates got back together in 2004 for the VH1 series Bands Reunited, where they played their hits Love Plus One and Fantastic Day again for the first time since the split. Probably best known for their #1 hit Don't You Want Me, post-punk synth-pop group The Human League was extremely influential, encapsulating the sound of the 80s and influencing many artists in following decades. Despite their many hits in the early 80s, their album Hysteria was far less popular. In order to make another album, Crash, the label suggested new producers, Jimmy Jam and Terry Lewis. It was a disaster. After non-stop infighting, the band left their producers to finish the album alone. While the first single still charted at #1, an interview with Melody Maker at the time shows the fraught relationship the band had with the album. When lead vocalist Philip Oakley was asked if he liked the album, he responded, "We took 2 years to write 6 songs, and that means if we hated this LP, we'd have to put it out anyway." The Human League did not officially break up and continued to release some songs in the UK, but they never charted in the United States again. Van Halen's singer David Lee Roth and guitarist and songwriter Eddie Van Halen had worked together to record chart-topping glam metal rock songs like Jump and Panama, but the two had different goals for the band. Roth wanted to be the biggest band in the world, while Eddie wanted to mix it up artistically. Tensions escalated within the band about the direction they should take the music, forcing members into 2 clear camps. Eddie and engineer Don Landy in one, and Roth and producer Ted Templeman in the other. Eventually, it led to a split, with Eddie saying, "The band as you know it is over." He was right. The band continued, with new singers and a new direction, but it was never the same. Check out one of our newest videos right here. Plus, even more grunge videos about your favorite bands are coming soon. Subscribe to our YouTube channel and hit the bell so you don't miss a single one.